call to audience procedures when we get to the call of audience part. All right, yeah, our presentation. Presentation honoring the public service career of Jack.
That this will be our final council meeting. I wanted to check the many years in the fire and emergency services. As of recently has been promoted to the rank of interim chief in 2018, and prior to that he was appointed as the fire. Jack has just been in the fire department leadership team. He's been instrumental in really having the next generation of EMS services. Generation. I wanted to take and mention to his years of career service and give this opportunity to give Jack a couple moments if you'd like, although knowing Jack, he probably doesn't. If you'd like to say anything to City Council and or the community, and also, of course, as always, we welcome any comments from City Council. Jack, I'm sorry, one last thing, and I will bring it up. Jack was presented with a service award, as many of our directors that are outgoing are after their distinguished careers in service. And so if I could pop this up on the screen, here's a picture of Jack receiving a service award. Unfortunately, any other time, we will be presenting this publicly and honoring his service commitments live in front of the public, in front of the community, which that distinction does merit. Unfortunately, these are clearly pandemic times, so we joined Jack and his team out in the field and presented this award to him in front of his team, which I thought actually turned out to be a pretty cool opportunity anyway to present and acknowledge the service career of Jack in front of his next generation of firefighters. So I thought that actually turned out to be pretty cool.
Well, thank you very much, Joe, for that very nice proclamation. And the award for Mayor and Council, and Joe, thank you very much. I want to say that picture adds 10 pounds. I really have been losing weight. Health and wellness, right? And I'm very glad I didn't have to do this in public. Even though I enjoy being around people, I get choked up a little bit. So it's just been such a rewarding career over my 20 years, my 23 years in the fire service. I've been with Ferndale over 20, and I would never ever change that or think of doing another job in those 20 years. There were opportunities to leave when I was young, and I'm glad I stuck with it. I made so many friendships with residents and business owners and, of course, the fire staff, but even mayor and council and all the departments, department heads and all the other coworkers in the city. It's just such a great family, and I'm sad to be leaving. I'm sure you're going to find the right person, and I'm excited to watch the city grow from a distance. And I'm excited for the fire department as well as all the other departments. And I'm so proud to say that I was a part of this city for the last 20 years plus. And I'm just, from where we started when I first walked in those doors to where we are now as a city, I'm not just talking about our department. I just am in awe and just so happy and proud to be a part of this over the years. And thank you, Mayor Piana, for playing that song. My wife and I just watched The Lion the other night, probably for the 20th time. She just loves that movie, and I think she's got a thing for Joaquin Phoenix. But I really appreciate it. And Joe, you always bring me to tears, and I'm having a little bit of a hard time now, but I just want to say thank you, everybody, and please keep in touch. From the bottom of my heart, I love everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. I'm going to have fun with sound effects over here. celebration horn of your service to the city of Ferndale. And I just want to say how thankful I am that you've committed your profession and your passion to public service, but you've done that in Ferndale. And we have benefited from your passion of fire marshal, fire safety, and just protecting our community. And it's been a pleasure to get to know you over the last couple of months a little bit more as mayor. Fortunately, it has been during a pandemic, but seeing you in action during a crisis, a non-fire crisis, which is just as difficult as a fire, I think, is a pandemic that we had a playbook of how to address. And you stepped up on behalf of Ferndale and the region, or Oakland County, representing us and Oakland County. And while I'm so sad to see you go, I know that you're going to be in Birmingham and that you're probably still going to be helping out Ferndale in your regional capacity, because the Oakland County is dependent on you for your leadership helping other cities. So thank you again. And I know we'll see you somewhere sometime in the future along the Woodward corridor.
Thank you.
Is there anybody other comments from council? Would they like to make?
I may. Chief, we actually really got to know each other probably prior to the Fire Ops 101 experience. So, you know, how you just kind of took me and then Councilman Pollock kind of under your wings, and you took care of us at during that experience. And we talked all the way there, we talked all the way back, and I really got to know you all. And then it seems like after that, I would run into either you or Sarah in the community. And it's just been an honor to serve with you and to see you at work and to see how dedicated you are to this community. And I wish you and Sarah nothing but the best on your new endeavors. And I just want to give a shout out to Sarah that she was just an awesome election precinct inspector on my team. Well, not my team, but the team that I was on. And it's just been an honor. I'm going to miss you. Please don't be a stranger. Birmingham's not that far away, so you'll have to come back and visit and stay in touch, okay?
All right, thanks. And thanks for the shout out for Sarah. She's listening at home.
I'd like to chime in as a relative newbie and just say, Chief Pichet, it's been an honor to work with you over the last nearly a year. And I'm just sorry that we didn't have a longer time here together. I really admire the way that you have elevated fire prevention and the medical service provided by the fire department. You really educated me a lot on what our fire department does, and I hope that education has gotten out into the community. I think that a lot of it has, and I hope that your successor will continue that legacy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Chime in real quick.
Sure, please go ahead.
I'm just going to miss you. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, and I'm so happy that you revived the CERT team and you've gotten citizens involved. I know you're leaving behind an awesome team, but it's just not going to be the same. And I think that whoever fills your spot is going to have some very big shoes to fill, and I hope they like cats.
Oh yeah, for sure. Thank you very much.
Well, I guess that leaves me, Chief. I want to thank you for your many years of service to our community. You might have only been chief for a short time, but you have served the people of Ferndale for a long time, a very long, industrious career. It has truly been an honor to work with you, literally, when we helped the woman on M59 who ran off the road. But most importantly, to get to know you as the person. you have given so much of yourself to the city and have had an incredible impact on the people in the fire department. And I know that your impact on the department will have a long-lasting positive effect. So I just want to thank you. I wish you the best. Like everybody said, don't be a stranger. We're just down the road. Love to see you from time to time.
Sure. Thank you very much. You'll see me around West 9 Mile quite a bit with the wife and my daughter. We love Ferndale.
All right. Well, if we were all in a physically located, we would be clapping. So if everybody wanted to clap, best of luck to you and your new opportunity.
All right. Thank you very much again.
All right. Next on our presentations is 5B, which is the Main Street Oakland County Accreditation presentation. I believe kicking this off is our DDA Director, Lena Stevens.
That's right. Hello, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can actually see our accreditation. And I believe we have Annika Norris with us from Oakland County, and she was listed as an attendee, Kyle, so we can allow her to speak in a moment. Really proud to introduce Annika Norris from Oakland County. She's here tonight to just briefly congratulate us and note that we were accredited as a 2020 Main Street in the select level category. Before I turn it over to Annika, I do want to thank her and the other staff at Oakland County, Main Street Oakland County, and the Economic Development Department. They have been incredibly supportive of Ferndale through COVID-19. Both financially and through ideas and other ways that we could be supporting our businesses. So just wanted to publicly take a moment to thank them for that. So with that, Annika, are you with us and able to give a little summary of this?
Hi, yes, thank you, Lena, and thank you everyone on council. Just in case you don't know, Main Street, Ferndale's been a part of the Main Street program since 2001. 1 year they went off, it came back on. And then overall the Main Street approach it's a unique economic development strategy that focuses on leveraging existing social, economic, physical, cultural assets to encourage community revitalization efforts and help manage success for long-term. The cool thing about Main Street is it's a grassroots organization from the bottom up. So it's the people that sit on the board and the volunteers and staff that make Main Street, the Main Street program so great. Overall focuses on 4 points, which would be organization, promotion, design, and economic vitality. And Ferndale is one of 13 select level communities in Oakland County. There are 3 tiers in Main Street, Oakland County, the select, associate, and affiliate. And there's 25 total communities involved. The select level does, it shows more engagement, and it also provides, for showing more engagement in the program, it provides a little bit more money to the community, actually a significant amount more, a significant opportunity for additional grants and money from the program. I don't want to take too much of your time. I really enjoy working with Ferndale, and the Oakland County staff enjoys working with Ferndale. It's great to see you guys do good things, and I'm assuming that you guys all heard about the National Main Street grant. They paired with Hartford Insurance. It was called the Heartbeat of Main Street grant, and Red Hook Coffee won a pretty decent chunk of money through that application, which they couldn't have done unless they participated in the Main Street program. So thank you to all the Ferndale team. Thank you to the council and staff for being so supportive of the program, and we just look forward to next year when hopefully we can do some better things to help the communities grow and come out of this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Lena, did you want to say anything else?
Nope, that's it. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Very proud of the continuing work that you're doing, and Lena, you're doing a great job taking the DDA forward. So thank you. All right, next up, I need my reading glasses. Next up is the 5C presentation of Halloween awards as submitted by the DDA director. So come on back, Lena.
Yep, I'm here. This is really exciting. I know it might seem, you know, a little bit silly, and I know we have lots of business to get to tonight, but this was a really exciting thing, and actually, I think it's something that we're going to do every year. So always fun when you stumble on something in a pinch that's actually something that you want to do long term. So for anybody who doesn't know, this year was our first annual Halloween decorating contest. We had 33 businesses participate and almost 800 votes. And as an FYI, about half of those people gave us their contact information. So that's a whole pool of people who will maybe volunteer with us, or you know, maybe we can tell them when, you know, other events and things are going on. So there's a lot of benefits from this. This year, when we started this, we decided to do it citywide. So one thing that's really great is if you were going around Ferndale, you could actually see Hallowindos on 9 Mile, on Woodward, on Hilton, or on Livermore, which was absolutely fantastic. And it was a great socially distant way to still encourage a reason to smile when you came to Ferndale. And I think that was really great. And we heard from a lot of businesses who said it really kind of brought some life back to the staff, that it was something that they did together. One business actually said that their partner came in, their life partner, and decorated with them, and they felt like that was a really fun thing for their family to do together. So that was a wonderful story to hear, and we were just so excited to see so many businesses get into the spirit of things. So with that, I believe we have Jackie Smith with us, and she is the chair of the DDA Board of Directors. And I've actually asked her here tonight so that she can make the awards. We have 2 categories. We have the People's Choice, which that was decided by the votes. And then we have the Mayor's Choice, because we just had too many awesome places that we needed a category to honor some of those fun things. So Jackie, are you with us?
I am here.
Hi, Jackie. Okay,
Hi.
would you like to drum roll, please, and you can make these announcements.
I'm really excited to do this, and it was a real boon for energy, and to, you know, Halloween is my favorite holiday. And thank you, Mayor and Council, for being part of this. So we had 33 locations who registered to participate, and they outdid themselves. Creative, unique decorations, and it is my honor to announce the winners. Now, our downtown winner of the People's Choice Award is Margaux and Max. Margaux and Max used products and items that you can purchase, and Jadana outdid herself. I wanted to buy absolutely everything in her window, and I know other people did as well. They reminded us of Black Lives Matter, and the fashion that she has and she has on her live streams every week is just amazing. Now, this was, even though my store, Candlelit Shop, participated, this was my favorite window as well, and she deserved this 1,000%. And Jadana is with us, and we have invited her to say a few words about what this contest meant to her.
Hi, thank you, Jackie. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. I am really excited and honored to receive this award. I was really excited when Lena reached out to me and told me that there was a Halloween window decorating contest. You know, because of COVID, we're closed, and so many businesses are struggling right now, and lots of people are struggling. You know, people are struggling financially, people are struggling mentally, and I just thought that this was something fun for us to do, to give people a little bit of an escape. So we really got into it. The motorcycle in the window is actually a cooler. It has like a little galvanized section on the back, and I saw it pre-COVID, and I just kept watching it at Home Goods. And when the price was right, I was like, I gotta buy this. And then when the opportunity came up to decorate the windows, I said, oh, I have to incorporate this into my window. I just thought that it was so much fun, and it was fun for me when we were setting it up, and after too, watching people walk by and do a double take, especially men. They would kind of walk, and then come back and look. It was really fun. I was just super excited. I think this is just a great idea to get people excited about the city, to get people interested who didn't know what type of businesses were in the city now know about those businesses, and a lot of our clients voted. And they went through and looked at all of the businesses. So I really got the idea. And I also want to say I appreciate the support I've received. It has really made all the difference. I know that I made the right decision moving my business to downtown. I feel like so much for that.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Yay.
Thank you.
There's a lovely little award that it'll have way to you, its way on its little broom, head in your direction.
Oh, thanks so much.
And our Beyond Downtown winner, because we did, why I love this town. This is another one of these events that makes me say, I love Ferndale. And we did, we moved beyond the downtown area, and our Beyond Downtown winner, People's Choice Award, is Candace Acton State Farm Road. And they covered their windows with hand-painted, super impressive. I love it. Candace is with us and as well.
I didn't see Candace in the attendee group, so she wasn't able to join us in the end. I'm not sure, but we'll see. If Candace, if you're there, you can raise your hand and we'll be able to see you in the background. But we can keep going, Jackie.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Lena, for saving me from the awkward pause. And because we have so many amazing participants, we work with Mayor Piana to identify 4 more businesses that get the Mayor's Choice, and I really appreciate Mayor Piana taking time out and working with us on the Mayor's Choice Awards. We have Ferndale Project, and they incorporated their decoration amongst their outdoor seating options, and they allowed people to sit among the skeletons and the spiders and the hay bales. And we have Hook and Eye. There's Ferndale Project, and then Hook and Eye, and they posted news and information on social channels. And have you seen our pumpkin? That really meets Braun painted design, a little touch of humor on what they did, and keeping us conscious of we might be ingesting. And then Modern Natural Beauty built a display demonstrating candy shoots and costumes that incorporated face masks. I love it. And we have choice winners this evening, and I believe is Emily Murray here with us from Modern Natural Baby?
Yeah, John and I are both here.
Excellent. Good to see you both. If you'd like to say anything about participating in this.
Did we lose you, Emily?
Sorry, am I back?
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sorry. We really wanted to kind of show how trick-or-treating safely. Read about people being nervous trick-or-treating. Halloween is one of our favorite holidays, and we all dress up and we wanted to go trick-or-treating, and so we thought we would showcase the candy shoots that a lot of people were talking about before Halloween, in our window and kids in costumes with masks. So just to show that, keep it really relevant to this year and safety and everything.
And we really appreciate, we had to give up so much this year as far as like downtown trick-or-treating. I'm so thankful that you guys could come up and at the last minute come up with something so nice that people can actually safely go to all the businesses and check out the window. So huge kudos for coming up with this idea last minute. I think it's incredible. And special thanks to the mayor for the Mayor Choice Award.
I love your.
Our windows are really impossible up.
Issue.
Actually,
so
Jackie, if we take our picture, you can actually see your business.
I was experiencing the same thing. Time of the highlight this. I'm so proud of the DA staff for putting this together and just taking it all away for us. And I love Lena and thank Summer for everything that they've done. They did an amazing job. While the rest of us are working, paddling to stay afloat in our businesses, and they just have made everything worthwhile and working much easier for us. So I'd really like to thank City Council for allowing us to do this presentation and to give the kudos where they're deserved and celebrate our downtown.
Hey, Jackie, if I might, Candace was able to join us if you want to give her a moment.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry, we had some technical difficulties getting logged on, but so in the actually love and every guys represent and just so much fun. We actually, my staff decided that we were going to put in a hat all the options we wanted to think of. And actually a lot of people thought that our window was decals, but it's actually a local art to hand paint the window. So that was really cool. We actually decided strawberry shortcake because one of my team members, it was favorite growing up. He's a really, love Halloween. So we thought that was nice and very cool to our office. So it was just a really fun activity. Our clients vote for us. They actually loved it and just really bringing, a sense to the business. And we just really appreciate you guys, putting it together. And it was a.
Thank you, Candace. I love your windows. You did an amazing job.
Thank you.
Thanks for participating. And that's really what makes us fun is participate in any way, shape, or form. We don't have to be the amazing. We just have to come with enthusiasm. And you guys are pretty amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Again, thank you, City Council, for allowing us to do this presentation to celebrate the enthusiasm that came to us this Halloween through the businesses in Ferndale.
And I love this award too, and I'm so happy the DA is celebrating our businesses in new ways.
Great. See you all soon.
See you all soon. All right. Drum roll for our election results. Clerk, you're up.
Great. Thank you all so much. So yes, 2020 election season finally in the books. It's been a ridiculously challenging year and very excited to have it to the point where it's all in the hand of the boards of canvassers now. So we have, excuse me, while I get rolling here. Yes, we're going to go over election review, talk about what we did, what we had some fun with, we had some challenges with. First off, I just kind of reminder that March 10th, day of the presidential primary, was the day that the first COVID cases were reported in Michigan. So that led to an even more interesting election season than we were expecting. So June 4th, the Secretary of State sent out applications to every registered voter in the state of Michigan. We had a nice turnout for the August primary. As you may recall, we implemented new drop boxes prior to the August primary election, and they were a huge hit. We had about 5,000 voters altogether in August, and 1,200 plus used our drop boxes. So moving on to this November ballot mailing, we did that in late September, and we mailed over 7,000 ballots in that first wave of ballots, which was just way more than we've ever had. We used to think we had a lot when we were sending out 1,200 at once. So sending out 7,000 plus was just amazing. We did our drive-through voting. So we had another 6 dates where we did drive-through voting events in the City Hall parking lot. They were really well received. We serviced around 300 voters safely from their vehicles, which is amazing. We also did the absentee counting board with Oakland County again. So they tabulated the ballots that we had received up until Monday, November 2nd at 4 p.m. And that was around 9,000 ballots, which was just incredible. So on the big day, on November 3rd, we had 13,067 out of our 16,789 registered voters turn out to vote. So darn near 78%, which I've been trying to look through our records and not finding any evidence that we've had a higher turnout than that. So oops, I have a typo there. I have 13,967. That should be a 0. But again, blowing away our turnout in 2016 when it was about 73%. We issued just a smidge under 10,000 absentee ballots, which was absolutely incredible, kept us running. And we received back 9,553, which is 97% of all of the ballots that we issued, which is absolutely unheard of. Usually we're averaging about 80% return rate on absentee ballots. So that was just an outstanding return rate. But even on election day, we still got over 500 ballots returned on election day in our drop boxes and a few through the mail. So we learned a lot of lessons in August about the best way to handle that. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. The clerk staff, you'll see I have rejected about 140 absentee ballots. The reason for that was that those folks showed up to vote in person on election day. And when they do that, we need to make sure that if their absentee ballot does get dropped into a drop box by accident, that it can't be counted again. So each one has to be rejected as the person is there to vote. So so we had about 140 of those folks. Felt like more, but always does. The county certified that they had received all of our results by 10:15, which is pretty great. And the Oakland County Absentee Counting Board processed around 150,000 ballots for 16 communities and had it done by 8 o'clock, which is, we could never accomplish that here. We don't have the high-speed tabulators. We don't have that much manpower. So Ferndale normal, we all know how amazing we are, but we did drive-through voting again. So we had a great response for volunteers coming to help us with that. We did 4 weeknights, 2 weekend days. Like I said before, about 300 folks came through. I want to thank everyone who participated and volunteered in that, including Mayor Piana, Councilman Pollica, and Mayor Pro Tem Leaks May. I think Councilman James might have dropped by or offered to at the very least, but we had tons of folks from the community volunteering, and some of them are people I've never met before, which was really great to meet them and have them come out and join us. So our drop boxes, 91% of those 9,000 some ballots that we got back came via Dropbox. So 8,735 ballots in those drop boxes over a less than 6-week period. So that's just absolutely incredible. We did have prepaid postage, but only 9% were returned that way. Still, that's, 843. So that's in a normal year, that would be a lot, but this year, not so much. Again, we did online inspector training for our precinct inspectors. We had nearly 200 people work in November. We wanted to make sure that we had plenty of staff. People were just turning out to volunteer left and right, so we took advantage of everyone that we could, and so we did that online training. And then I also hold a Sunday evening fireside chat for our precinct inspectors, where we meet for about an hour and a half and talk about Ferndale specific issues that I want them to be aware of. For the first time this year, the DDA offered up their office as Election Central. So many thanks to Lena and Summer for just offering it up. They were like, hey, don't you think you could work better out of the DDA office? And I was like, yeah. So they offered up their space. We were down there for a month. It was a great way to keep thousands of people out of the service lobby, especially with COVID, social distancing. It was such a better option. And we were able to use the council chambers for folks to vote in, the hallway for people to line up. It worked out really well. And another big improvement we had this time was active ballot tracking. So this was created with the University of Michigan Citizen Interactive Design Fellows to populate from our QBF, which is the state's qualified voter file, to whenever we would send or receive a ballot, they would receive a notification via email if we had their email address. And we received a lot of positive feedback and some worried folks who were like, I didn't get an email. It's, well, you didn't give us your email address. So now we've got everybody's email. And ballot processing, as I said, it's just outstanding. We did daily audits, which is checking, once you check them in, check them again, make sure that everything is correct. It was a huge help in the end, especially sending nearly 9,000 ballots out to Oakland County. And on election day, we had 3 teams of inspectors sorting those absentee ballots that we received on election day and bringing them out to our precincts, who had little mini absentee counting boards at each precinct. So that worked out much better than what we did in August. We did learn a lot about the better way to handle things. And after being hit so hard with AVs in August, we formulated a communication plan and encouraged people to return their ballots early. And so many people did, which was amazing. We had a great turnout for that. Several different groups did a return your ballot day. AV voting, again, drop boxes were highly successful. 91% of all those ballots were dropped in our drop boxes, which just still blows my mind. Obviously, the one at City Hall was used the most. We did have one day, I think it was October 7th, which is some random Wednesday, we got like 850 ballots dropped in the drop box, which was, opened it up and was like, whoa, glad this is so successful. So, our biggest challenge was the ballots that we received after we sent them off to Oakland County. But since we had kind of worked out a better process this time with the many absentee counting boards working independently of the precincts, everything went very smoothly. In the precincts, things went well. They were busy in the morning, as they always are, but I did not have any reported incidents of voters refusing to wear a mask. We still had over 3,500 people vote in person, so is definitely a busy day for all. And I would strongly recommend in the future that as long as Oakland County is doing the absentee counting board, that we stick with it, because it was a great program. It doesn't cost us anything. except for a ride to Pontiac, which I got to do in a police car. So that was cool. You know, each precinct has its own little counting board. They work independently in a separate area, so they're not interfering with precinct work. Again, you know, my huge thanks to Lena and Summer for allowing us to use the DDA office. Just so many things came together in this really difficult election cycle to make things a lot smoother than they could have been. You know, one thing I wanted to mention was we implemented, actually, my election specialist, Jordan Smelly, came up with the idea of implementing a messaging app called Signal to communicate with City Hall when we had those voters who would come in to vote in person who had absentee ballots. Ordinarily, they would be calling in by phone and, you know, trying to reach me or trying to reach Barb and getting a busy signal or leaving a message. This time with the Signal app, we had 5 City Hall staff who were on this messaging app, and each precinct had its own feed to us. So the phones were not tied up at all during the day. We had a volunteer who came in to answer them for us, and I think she was a little bored, but so Signal worked amazingly well. And it was a great way for us to communicate separately with DPW and PD, and it was a real great thing to have. And you know, as you all probably know, I do a lot of posts on the Ferndale Forum and the fabulous Ferndale Forum when I have election information to disseminate, and that again seemed to work out quite well. We had some extra staff this time. We had 5 part-time folks who were crucial to helping us on a daily basis keep things in order. Thankfully, we did receive a COVID grant from the Center for Tech and Civic Life to help cover the cost of those folks, which was, again, just one of those kind of lucky stars that we had that option. Drive-through voting went through great. It was a lot of fun. As you can see by my presentation, we got some incredible pictures from Nicole Dossier-Janowitz, one of our volunteers. And this kind of surprised me, but after August, not so much. It was, again, in August and in November, we had 73% of all Ferndale voters who voted voting by absentee, which the percentage stayed the same between 2 elections is really surprising to me. But 27% voted in person. This is the highest turnout that I'm aware of. I've been trying to look through some past council minutes and canvassing reports, but I'm not finding any turnout as high as our 13,000 plus. Again, our team, me, Barb, and Jordan, you all know, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention our amazing seasonal election staff, Randy Horn, Jenna Nelson, Rochelle Mitchell, Gretchen Martin, and Tay Terry were absolutely fabulous and kept us all on track. And there were so many volunteers and precinct inspectors that I couldn't name them all if I tried, which kind of bothers me because I like to be able to personally thank folks, but you know, there were so many that came out to help us, and it was really incredible to see that kind of community engagement and interaction. It makes you feel really good as an administrator to have folks turn out to just to help you out of the goodness of their heart and to protect the democratic process. So that's all I have, unless there are any questions for me.
I don't have any questions, but it was a great presentation, fantastic summary. But we'll open it up to council for any comments or questions.
I just wanted to thank you for being so proactive with communication. It has been amazing to see how forthright you were, how you reminded everybody, and then to see the results within the election. So kudos to you and your team.
Thank you.
Just bravo, Marnie and team. It was a wonderful effort, and I think it couldn't have turned out any better. So I'm really proud of you guys and proud of Ferndale for coming out.
Ditto. Congratulations on an incredible election. You always run a wonderful election, and you always have a great team. So job well done. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to everybody who stepped up and became a volunteer. Usually it's, we squeak by with enough volunteers, but we knew we had to staff up more than ever before. And so I applaud Ferndale for stepping up during this election. One thing that I do ask, I think after every election, is that we have a sort of a retrospective lessons learned. What went well and what do we need to change for the future. And looking forward, I think you had residents fill out a survey. They could fill out a survey from their experience and just learn from what they say this year.
And Madam Mayor, if I might chime in really quickly too, I want to echo all of the thanks and congratulations to Marnie for an amazing election season. I think you made it easier than ever to vote in Ferndale. But I also wanted to acknowledge some of the folks that are kind of behind the scenes. I know that as an election inspector, it's amazing to show up that morning and have a lot of things already set up by DPW. And to have other staff, including police and DPW and other departments within the city, just checking in throughout the day, delivering lunches and so forth. So thanks to those folks as well.
Thank you for that reminder. I'd also like to thank Reef Parking. They also volunteered their services.
Excellent. All right. So that concludes our election results presentation, and we're moving on to call to audience. I ask everybody who would like to do call to audience to limit their comments to 3 minutes, and you may speak about any topic on or off the agenda today. Our process is usually led by our Assistant City Manager, Kyle Pollette. We start with the hand raisers, the blue hand at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you are interested in talking, it'll take them in order. And if you are calling in by phone, we will get to you after the blue hand raisers and ask you to make your comments. So Kyle, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor. So raise your hand is enabled, and if you're looking for it, at the bottom of your screen, if you press participants, a window will pop up on the right-hand side. At the bottom of that, it'll say raise your hand. And as soon as we get somebody, I'll call on them.
Are we seeing
It's
anybody
a
tonight?
quiet audience tonight. Oh, there's Christian. Go ahead.
Hi, Christian. Welcome.
Hi, guys. I just saw that Marnie just dropped off. I just wanted to tell her thanks. And I kind of wanted to buy her team something like lunch or something. I don't know how to do that. So who do I contact, or how do I get? I want to do something for you and your team. So I don't know if I should do like gift or what. Is it still illegal for me to do it after the election or no?
Christian, you don't have to do anything. Just the thought and just the thought on its own means so much to me. You know, if you want to drop off some cookies for us someday, you're welcome to do so. But you know,
Okay,
the thanks for the community is all the thanks I need.
Is it so you're at the city clerk?
Yep.
Like every day, or what's your schedule?
Yes, Monday.
I'm just trying to get you something.
You're so kind and generous. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Kristen. Anybody else?
I love this community.
I know. Makes me all heartwarmed.
Mayor, there are no other hand raisers.
Well, I find that a little incredulous, but we're going to move on. All right. Next up, it looks like we have it says public hearing, but I don't think we have one on the agenda. So we're moving on. we're moving on to the consent agenda, which I'm going to read very quickly, but not quick enough where you can't understand me. So, all right, 8A, of the regular meetings held October 12th and the 26th, 2020, as submitted by City Clerk. 8B, approval to suspend parking enforcement of the downtown parking system for small business Saturday on November 28th, 2020. 8C, approval of the request to backfill 2 DPW laborer positions left vacant due to the retirement of 1 DPW supervisor and the departure of 1 DPW worker, as requested by the Human Resource Director. 8D, approval to backfill 1 police officer position left open due to the recent retirement of a police officer, as submitted by the Human Resources Director. And 8E, approval of the bills and payrolls as submitted by the City Manager's Office and subject to review by the Council Finance Committee. What is the pleasure of council?
I move that we accept the consent agenda item as presented.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Leaks May and supported by, I think I heard Greg Polka come in first. So Councilman Polka. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember McCulsey?
Yes.
Councilmember Polika?
Yes.
Councilmember James?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Leaks May?
Yes.
And Mayor Piana.
Yes. And that concludes the consent agenda. Next, we're moving on to regular agenda and only one item tonight, 9A, consideration of the City Hall and Police Department Network Upgrade Proposal, which our City Manager will lead us forward.
Thank you, Mayor. I will introduce this item tonight. I have invited 2 members from Everstream, Bill and Stephen, to help provide an overview of the presentation and to receive questions from City Council about their proposal that's also attached to the company's presentation. I'll provide a brief introduction. So introducing this, the City Hall and Police Department have a shared network configuration. This network, all the equipment that serves this network is on a scheduled life cycle replacement. So this year, as part of our adjustments in preparation for the mid-year budget adjustment, we wanted to reimagine how we might creatively deliver a capital improvement that was scheduled and highly ranked during the capital improvement plan in the midst of our pandemic budget reductions. This is a critical service level need, and all of this equipment is in its current life cycle and was scheduled to be replaced over the next 5 years. So we had asked Everstream to evaluate the city network, evaluate our current equipment, doing a service analysis to see where we were failing because we had evidence of network failures related to bandwidth constraints. And so they did that. And Everstream actually won a competitive bid to provide gigabit internet service and managed network services for the DOT. And so understanding that they did that within the last 2 years, we asked them to provide that same kind of analysis and same kind of proposal scaled up for the City Hall and Police Department. So with that proposal that is attached, we are suggesting that the city move away from the upfront capital cost heavy proposal for managing the City Hall and Police Department network equipment, which was scheduled incrementally over 5 years. And in lieu of that, we are suggesting that the city move towards a managed services and leasing agreement model, which shifts the funding mechanism from a capital upfront heavy recommendation to a more spread, predictable recommendation over the course of a 5-year lease agreement. This also provides enhanced network security and network security administrative services that we otherwise do not have right now. For that's a big part of risk mitigation and business continuity. That is one of the core objectives of our ongoing efforts to improve the City Hall and Police Department network performance. Also financially, what we were able to achieve with this proposal is reducing the budgeted capital ask the council approved for City Hall technology upgrades and network upgrades from $177,000 down to $140,000. So our goal to minimize our capital costs while delivering on the service needs was achieved with this service model. With that brief overview, I will see if Kyle can confirm that our panelists or our presenters from Everstream have been upgraded as panelists so they can facilitate the presentation.
Yep, you're good. We got Stephanie and Bill.
Hello, and a confirmation that you're on the line.
Yes, sir. Hello, Mayor, Council, and hello, Joe, Kyle. We appreciate this opportunity. I don't know if everyone can see my screen. I've attempted to share it.
Yep, good to see you.
Great.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us. And Bill is going to introduce us.
Yep. Stephen, good evening, City of Ferndale. This is Bill Major. Hopefully everyone can hear me.
I can hear you, Bill.
Yes, we can.
Great.
Stephen, did you want me to put the presentation up on my screen? And
sure, whichever works for you. I have it up on mine, I think.
I will, I'll share just because it's a little bit easier with our Zoom. Can council see the presentation screen?
Yes.
Okay. So Stephen, why don't you just go ahead? I'll worry about clicking through, and you just go ahead and worry about the content on the slides. How about that?
Wonderful. Bear with
Stephen?
me one moment.
Stephen, would you like me to do a quick overview of Everstream while you get prepared?
Certainly, if you could, that'd be great.
I'll make it brief. Everstream was founded in 2014. We were founded on the principles that our customers deserve better. Everstream evolved the most prolific designer, construction company, and operator of a 100% fiber optic network. We operate in 5 states throughout the Midwest. 8 major markets. We're headquartered here in Cleveland, Ohio. 6 brief years ago, we started off with 30 employees. Today, we have grown organically as well as through acquisition. And today, we sit with 325 employees actively employing teams and offices in Detroit, Lansing, Grand Rapids, and other major cities throughout the Midwest. The biggest thing we learned over the years is the company has grown and evolved, and today we operate about 13,000 fiber route miles throughout the Midwest. Is our customers not only needed the foundation of designing, constructing, and operating a fiber optic network, but also the CPE or the gear, the managed services that go on top of that, so they can maximize the investment and future-proof their network. So Everstream evolved in providing these managed services. We continue to scale and we continue to grow. We will be making an expansion announcement that will be released to the wire tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. as we continue to grow throughout the Midwest. So Stephen, to you.
Awesome. Joe, if you're ready.
Yep. Of course, maybe I should have given it to you. I'm having trouble with my Acrobat today, and of course, it's not moving.
If you go to view, you could go full screen.
Well, you're already consulting. Good job. All right, let's try that.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you everyone for having us. We'll just jump right into slide number 2 here. In 2015, the city of Ferndale began a deep dive evaluation of its technology standards and practices with a focus on security and business continuity. What you see here is some of the principles which grew out from this effort. So manageability, security and continuity, accessibility, and cost control. So if we can move on to the next slide. So what you see here is the state of the city's network. Once the analysis was completed, the city's network was in dire need of redesign and replacement. In addition to that fact, City Hall's network was composed of an amalgam of 6 residential gateways. We also discovered that critical business continuity functions were only partially in place or maybe altogether missing. The most concerning missing pieces were backups and compliance-driven email archiving. So lots of single points of failure, lots of silos, as you can see. If you wouldn't mind moving on, Joe. Additionally, we discovered many on-premise siloed systems, which you can see here, from water billing to the city's ERP platform. There existed 6 different Active Directory servers across the city, and these were independent domain controllers, right? So a domain controller for the police, a domain controller for the city hall, and then DPW had their own. Needless to say, it was recognized that big changes were called for, and many of them urgently. You could move on to slide 4. So, in keeping with the compilation of the issues that were uncovered, as they reflected towards the city's new adopted principles of wanting to achieve manageability, accessibility, security, and continuity, and of course cost control. If we could move on to 5. So, on to some good news. Due to the support of City Council and the Mayor, changes were made, starting with City Hall. The city went from a single internet provider to 2, providing some redundancy. The city went from consumer-grade routers to 2 routers, 1 firewall, 1 router. One which serves to route traffic to OakNet for county services. The city went from fast Ethernet, so 100 megs, to gigabit Ethernet. So overall, a vast improvement was made. The city set forth a goal of adopting Cisco Meraki switch fabric, wireless access points, and firewalls, giving it a unified single pane of glass. That said, CapEx budgets did not allow for the capital expenditure such that we could meet every goal, so compromises became necessary. A good example of this is the desire for high availability for the City Hall's main firewalls. As you can see in this diagram, we only show a single firewall. There's no high availability. If we could move on to slide 6. So skipping ahead to 2020, while 2016 was a great improvement, as the city anticipated, it quickly outgrew the gigabit backbone inside the City Hall and Police Annex. They are one network, essentially, because they are connected together. Furthermore, unforeseen events created the need to add switches, which the city could not afford under the Meraki platform. So the city found itself adding less expensive switches, and the network was soon composed of 4 different brands of switching fabric with 4 different management planes, and this is very cumbersome to manage and certainly doesn't allow for the incredible visibility afforded by the Cisco Meraki cloud-managed infrastructure. What you're seeing represented here is our proposed redesign within City Hall. The firewalls are capable of incredible speeds and allow for room to grow. And as you can see, we are achieving the HA pair, the high availability pair of firewalls, and a dedicated firewall route to OakNet Clemis, which is going to bring a lot more visibility. Right now, we just don't have that visibility with the current appliance in place. The proposal also provides 12-strand single-mode fiber to every network closet in City Hall and the annex in the police building. This is an incredible insurance policy for the city. If you run out of bandwidth, it's just a matter of changing your optics. Single-mode fiber is capable of reaching speeds right now of 400 gigabits, and soon much beyond that. Everstream's entire network across the country has been built using single-mode fiber. Next, you might note that the switching fabric is the well-respected MS250 series of 10 gigabit capable switches, thus bridging City Hall and the police networks, bringing City Hall and the police networks from 1 gig to 10 gigs per second. This should alleviate a lot of the bottlenecks currently being experienced and leave ample room for more growth. Lastly, this proposal is recommending a refresh of the existing Meraki Wi-Fi with the newest offering from Meraki for, designed around Wi-Fi 6 or 802.11. 11.ax. Slide 7. So where we are today, in addition to networking, the city recognized the importance of security and continuity. Hosting an email server on premise, as the city used to do, seemed unwise. So the city moved services to the Office 365 government cloud. The city embraced virtualization, consolidated everything to a single Active Directory instance with multiple nodes, implemented disaster recovery as a service, and deployed, and it was deployed including cloud backup. I won't hit every item here, but as you can see, nearly everything that can be virtualized, if you look in the virtualization bucket, has been, and many services have been pushed to the cloud, including the all-important water billing, which I think fleet management, which are critical items for the city. If we could have slide 8. So, manageability, accessibility, security and continuity, cost control. This chart hits a lot of those items, and there has been a lot of progress since 2016, achieving many of the city's goals. Slide 9 is our final slide. This slide lays out both current and future goals expressed by the city over time, moving away from best effort coaxial cables to symmetrical single mode fiber optic cables enables some incredible opportunities. So one of those opportunities, the city can choose to move some of its server and storage infrastructure to other municipal buildings to promote resiliency and redundancy. A good example of this planned effort would be the DOT. The city was quite intentional about setting aside extra conditioned spaces within the DOT. And for everyone who doesn't know what the DOT is, it's the development on Troy. In order to locate extra compute resources at this location. In fact, the city on Everstream's network, with the city on Everstream's network in both locations, this enables a low latency experience, which will give end users within the building a seamless experience. So the second opportunity is, as is coming to the DOT, the city began to expand its public Wi-Fi experience for its residents and visitors alike. So the DOT, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but there's an activated alley with a slew of access points that can provide this wonderful event space Wi-Fi, and this was planned into the DOT. The poles aren't installed yet. That's why I say it's still coming. You guys have already purchased it, and it's ready to be installed. The fact that Ferndale is 4 square miles lends great affordable possibilities to be able to cover gathering areas within parks and maybe even the downtown with high-speed Wi-Fi. And 3, most importantly, Everstream always builds to you with your future in mind. You ask us for gigabit wide area network at the DOT. We actually deployed a 10 gigabit switch into that building. You need 1 gigabit wide area network at City Hall. We shall deploy, if we are given the opportunity, a 10 gig equipment. And why do we do this? We know that internet bandwidth needs change constantly, and we want to be able to immediately meet your needs with a simple phone call to our network operating center. We have 3 of them today. One is located here in Detroit, one is in Indianapolis, and one is in Cleveland, Ohio. But they all are unified and serve all of our clients. That said, again, 1 phone call, you could turn up a 2 gig connection, a 3 gig connection, whatever it is that you desire. We'll open up for questions. We did want to just say how much we value the city of Ferndale and our continued partnership.
Okay, Stephen, you mentioned a couple service level issues, and I did include those in the call to action, but just for the public and city council, some of the service issues we do have that might be noticeable by the public are dropped phone calls. We have those pretty consistently. And we also have just city general network outages lately. Most of that is related to changes in how we behave on the network and what we're demanding of the network. Specifically, a lot of the video changes that we've asked of the police department have resulted in significant bandwidth crunches, as those videos are automatically uploaded, back up, and restored. So all of that on a daily basis ultimately brings our network down to its knees, which you can see in the analysis performed by Everstream with the current line. And what that does is that results in essentially broke up calls when people are trying to call City Hall and or dispatch even. And that's just kind of it's a business continuity huge issue for us that we feel strongly that this proposal will remedy.
And Joe, if I may, you're actually DDoSing yourself daily with this video. It's a distributed denial of service attack from within. It's not an attack truly, but your network is being crippled.
With that, are there questions of council for either me or our technical experts while we have them here?
If I may, through the chair.
Please.
Did I see in that diagram that it clearly showed how some of the areas had existing Wi-Fi and how then they showed the areas that had new Wi-Fi or would have new Wi-Fi?
Absolutely, you did see that.
And I did notice that on the dot, it was existing. Is that correct?
To be fair, it hasn't been installed yet, but you as the have paid for it already. The telephone poles, if you will, or the lighting poles that they're supposed to be installed in are just not installed yet by Colasanti. So once they install, that will be deployed and here to stay.
Through the chair, Everstream is referring to the competitive bid we went out for .gigabit service and network oversight. I think the bid was awarded in the spring of 2019. And so he is right that we did have a lot of intent there in the design of the services that we went out to bid for. And as the dot draws closer to opening, we will be rolling out communications about the service enhancements that are going to accompany that with the dot.
Okay, thank you. Who's next with their questions from council?
I have a couple of questions. Mine aren't technological in nature because that's just not my lane. But I have a couple of policy questions. One is I noticed I could not find in the packet any description of circumstances under which this 5-year lease could be terminated, or what the terms related to termination would be. Could someone describe that to me?
Sure, through the chair. The motion is pending approval by legal counsel, and Dan Christ, our counsel, is actually reviewing that right now. Dan, do you have any comments to offer?
Through the chair, Councilwoman, I just recently received the proposed agreement, which does address termination provisions, but I only received that this afternoon. So that's why the nature of the proposed motion is that it would be subject to approval by the city manager as it relates to legal substance and me as to legal form. So I can provide you additional information on the specifics of that once I've reviewed it, but I have not yet completed that analysis.
Okay, that's fair. That's just something that I'm usually interested in, to make sure that we don't get locked into something if we end up dissatisfied at some point down the road. Not that we will be, just.
Well, I would propose, I will, I'll provide you some information on that when I provide my comments to the city manager.
Great. Another question, and I'm not even sure if this is a great question, but it just came to mind during the presentation. Is this the type of service, and this might be a question for you, Joe, in the future or down the road, is this the type of service that it might make sense to enter some kind of a shared service agreement and get more bang for buck if we partnered with, entities that aren't technically part of the city, like the library or Ferndale Public Schools, or, you know, opportunities where, you know, technology and strong network development is obviously incredibly important. It always has been, but now it's super important. Have we explored anything like that, or would it be appropriate to?
Through the chair, absolutely. You are preaching to the choir on the scaled benefits of regionalizing technology, especially amongst our field in local governments. I've discovered over the last 10 years, all too often local government doesn't always make the correct decisions as it relates to information security and technology. Locally, the libraries have their own cooperative group amongst libraries called the Library Network, TLN. And so they have a shared services agreement amongst regional libraries, and I do believe that it does relate to technology. And I think the same is true of the school district. I did engage the superintendent about any opportunities to coordinate services. It sounds like they do have their own outstanding agreement. I'm not familiar with that. It may or may not be associated with state contracts, but it sounds like they do have a scaled agreement in place.
Okay, thank you.
Question. Councilwoman Mikulski, I saw you try to chime in, so why don't you go ahead?
Number one, I just wanted to say this is a really great quote. It looks like the price point is on target. It's very comprehensive. The only question I really had was, is there anything besides the fact that we're not outlaying a lot of capital up front that would be of value in the fact that we're leasing versus purchasing?
Through the chair, I think the managed services provision there is really the key to the value proposition, and we would get that because we're leasing it. Stephen, can you comment on that?
Sure. Just coterminous, managing all these different licenses. There's one benefit there. At the end of your term, should you renew with us, you're going to get all brand new equipment. Everything goes: switches, access points, firewalls. You're getting, the benefit of our NOC managing your firmware, and this opportunity to start clean and fresh is just amazing. It's what the Ferndale has been trying to do for many years, is actually have common switch fabric, common firewalls, and common cloud managed access points. And it just, due to many struggles that many municipalities share, it's just very hard to achieve through a CapEx prospect. It just, OpEx is going to lower your outlay and enable us to do this right. So I think it's a really great opportunity.
Are there any other questions from council? I had one about the relationship with DC Central and Everstream. Can you explain how this partnership will continue forward as part of service delivery for our staff?
Sure, Mayor. DA Central is the city's embedded help desk services provider. So their core focus is really managing our day-to-day operations from a technology perspective. They receive and respond to calls for service as it relates to the end user, which is us. And they would also be in that role, the middle person or the subject matter expert locally for us to bridge the connect between Everstream managed network oversight and the actual city bureaucracy, which is me. Stephen, I don't know, how would you imagine? Do you want to describe that differently?
Yeah, so, as your network has grown and demands on your network have grown, I think you're really at a point where you need, look, we have a 24/7, 365-day-a-year network operating center, and as I mentioned, there's 3 of them, and that's just not something you have today. It literally means we have a wall of, data ingested from your equipment where we are watching up-down status. We are, monitoring, firmware. We are, when your core or spine or edge goes down, like we're literally going to notify you whether you want it or not, within X amount of minutes. And the person we notify is your technology partner, DA Central, right? So And obviously we would take actions to correct anything we can, besides not being boots on the ground. But yeah, having someone actually manage your ever so growing network, I think is really important. And that is not, I mean, DA Central is a great company, and they do a good job with day-to-day help desk and managing server infrastructure, which is something we don't do, and printers and things of that nature. But someone to manage your core network, is really important, and to be available to you at any time is, I think, really a big value.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks.
Seeing no other questions from council, we need to entertain a motion so that we can go into discussion. And it was at the top of the memo of the introduction, a little different this time around, where the resolution is.
Madam Mayor, I will move to approve the proposal subject to the submission of an agreement approved as to the substance by the city manager and as to legal form by the city attorney for a fully managed and leased network solution supported for City Hall and the Police Department for a 5-year term with annual payments in the amount of $63,336 and a one-time payment of $29,537 to be paid from account number 101-179-818-000 as submitted by the city manager's office.
Support. All right, moved by Councilwoman James and supported by Mikulski. Are there further comments from council? All right, I just had one, and that is this is a continuum of strategic investments that council started planning in 2016. And our strategic investments, I mean, we knew we had to do it. The 2014 flood hurt some of our IT infrastructure. So it was in the basement and flooded, and started doubling down, and that's how we got DA Central, I believe, and moved into the new investments of 2016. And so this is a continuum, and I think this is all about, in my opinion, risk management to the city. By switching over from owning to leasing, we're actually mitigating risks of having, I think, failures and intrusions that perhaps the city does not have the capacity or the expertise to solve, which is why we need a different partner to take us forward. So outside of our police and fire, our IT infrastructure is our backbone of how our city operates to serve our residents. And so I think this is the right direction where we need to move, particularly with our residents who are demanding more online services and responses from our city staff. But the pandemic, if it has shown anything, we were already in a good spot, the city staff, and working from home and having that infrastructure in place. But definitely the demands of more space and on our servers is something that we need to move forward now. So always looking ahead. So that's my comment about this investment today. All right, seeing no other comments or questions, we need a Madam Clerk roll call.
Councilmember James?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Leaks-May?
Yes.
Councilmember Mikulski?
Yes.
Councilmember Polico?
Yes.
And Mayor Piana?
Yes. And that passes unanimously. And now we are moving on to call to council. But thank you, Everstream, for being here. Bill and Stephen, we're glad that you're our partner moving forward.
Thank you so much for
Thank
the
you.
opportunity to serve. We appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
Yep, have a good evening. All right, moving on to call to council. And the lucky winner to start us off tonight is Councilman Polico.
Did you want to start with?
Oh man, I always forget. Sorry. Step back. step back. We're going to start off with departments. Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
That's 2 in a row.
I know. Sorry.
All right. Leading off tonight, we have an update from our Parks and Recreation Department.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a few quick things to update you guys on. So Parks and Recreation will soon have holiday ornament craft kits available for purchase on our registration site. The ornaments can be personalized and returned to the department to be hung at various locations throughout the city, with the bulk of them going to the tree that's going to be at the dot. Kits will be available as soon as next Monday for purchase, and return ornaments will be hung around the city as soon as early December. Moving forward from there, Parks and Recreation once again saw a great turnout for our Gear Up giveaway this past Friday. This program offers the community access to free, new and used sports and play equipment collected via donations collected by James Collins and his 2 teenage sons. The department is looking into the possibility of holding another giveaway on an upcoming Saturday before the year is out, depending on whether or not the weather permits us to do so. If we do move forward and do one of the Saturday dates, we'll be making an announcement about it on our Parks and Recreation Facebook page with more details. Parks and Recreation will be working in partnership with the Ferndale Housing Commission and Ferndale Public Schools to provide an intergenerational pen pal program to the community. This program is open to elementary students in Ferndale Public Schools and senior citizens in Ferndale that are over the age of 55. The program is free to all participants, and background checks will be required for adult participants. So no information is exchanged as part of this program, so addresses, phone numbers, all of those things are kept confidential, and all of the letters are delivered to participants by Parks and Recreation staff, so they don't have any contact with each other beyond just the contents of their letters. For more information or to register for that program, you should visit visit our registration page, which is accessible via the city's website. And then finally tonight, and some exciting news for our area teenagers, the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation is introducing its Generator Z program, which is a new grant-making initiative for teens to reimagine the future of after-school programming. So as part of this program, the foundation is seeking 1,000 teenagers between the ages of 13 and 18 from Southeast Michigan and Western New York to share their voices and their vision for the direction of after-school programming. Applicants selected to take part in this program will be paid $1,000 for their contribution. So this is a big opportunity for our area teens who want to get involved and get their voices heard and get paid as part of it. So for more information about that, or to apply to be a generator, you should visit the program's website, which is https://generator-z.org. And that's it from Parks and Rec.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Very cool. Next, we have Captain Emmy with an update from the police department.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. Just real brief, we want to touch on safety as it lends to the leaf piles that are building up in our streets until DPW can get them cleaned off. Obviously, fires mentioned before, they are a fire hazard. If you park your car on them, your car can go up right in front of your eyes, so don't park on large piles of leaves. Also, another thing that people don't consider is the fact that they are a huge draw to children to play in and even bury themselves in. So even think twice and maybe even scout it out before you park on even any kind of pile of leaves. And do not drive through them. To those of you with teenage drivers, take a minute to pass this message along to them and educate them that, you know, it may seem fun to watch a bunch of huge pile of leaves go flying across people's lawns, but we don't know what's lying underneath them. It could be children, it could be cinder blocks. So what we can't see can hurt us. So think about that. And also I know that everybody appreciates the job that our city clerk has done over the last month or longer, but working with Marnie and her staff and her volunteers, they're an incredible group of professionals that really went over and above. And I wanted to thank her publicly for a job well done, and I appreciate the relationship that the clerk's office and the police department had throughout that election year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain. On a related, here's a update from Dan Antosik, our director on leave season.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. So we are in the midst of leaf season. It is fully upon us, and this weekend was a great weekend. I'm sure a lot of folks out in the community were out there blowing, baking, and tying up as many as possible into the street for us to pick up. Just kind of building off what Aaron was saying. Things to put out, piled up, don't park on them. If you park on them, it makes it extremely difficult for us to pick up. In addition to piles, please leave that to just leaves. Additional plant material or sticks, stuff like that, make it very difficult on our vacuums to fully pick up those piles, and it does cause some issues with our equipment. So please leave that to just leave. So this week we are on the west side of the city. Next week we'll be on, or this week we are on the east side of the city. Next week we'll be on the west side. And for those that aren't a fan of putting their leaves out in the street and like to bag them, curbside yard waste pickup will run through the week of December 14th. So with the nice weather we're having, if you kind of prolonging the cleaning up the garden and stuff like that, you do have until the week of the 14th to place your yard waste bags. In addition to that, just a note that at the DPW, for those that need a water filter, we do have those in stock at the DPW, so come by and see us. And if you qualify, we can supply you with one of those. And other than that, that's all I have tonight, Mayor and Council.
Thank you so much, Dan. We have Jordan Torty, our CED director, to give us an update on Ferndale Moves.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks, Joe. Yes, just really quickly, I'm going to go through just some community engagement, some important updates that are coming through, and just some initial findings. So just at a high level, this update is due to be completed by February of 2021. We're looking to have a draft of the plan update for the public to review no later than January of next year, possibly as early as December. Some of the initial findings that we've had so far in the community engagement we've had, we had an online map at ferndalemoves.com where people could submit comments and drop little notes and things all throughout the city. There were over 170 unique users and over 200 comments on that map, so just different observations about mobility and connectivity in the city. We had a steering committee that was put together. This, by the way, is being led by Justin Lyons and Aaron Quattel in our department. The steering committee had 2 meetings and made presentations to the Planning Commission, the Environmental Sustainability Commission, and the Accessibility and Inclusion Advisory Commission. So we've been around, and there's been a lot of data inventory that's been gathering. So right now, we're in a phase of we're compiling a lot of input, we're getting a lot of data, and we're going to start shifting toward recommendations. So for the public, we're having a December 9 Zoom meeting. That's going to be our next big community engagement. If I'm going too fast, you didn't take all this down, you just go to the current projects page on the website, and you can see they have the Ferndale box. You can click in there. And by the way, you can also email us at ferndalemoves@ferndalemi.gov. We're willing to put together a Zoom meeting for any neighborhood group, whether it's a formal group or if it's just you and your neighbors on a street. We will meet with you and we'll go through the plan. We'll take your input. Again, hit us up at ferndalemoves@ferndalemi.gov or join us on December 9th. So you can check out that project page. You can see about everything else that we're working on, but we're really excited about putting this together and the input we've received so far. So come talk to us, share your ideas for mobility in the city, and we would love to get your input.
Thank you, Jordan. Next, we have one final message from our guest of honor tonight. Chief Jack, give us one more safety message, please.
Okay, I have a couple. So I'm going to go back to the leaves topics. So in the last 2 weeks, we probably had 6 or 8 calls for people burning leaves throughout Ferndale and Pleasant Ridge. Burning leaves in the city of Ferndale or Pleasant Ridge is prohibited. It's also very dangerous. Just a little bit of wind can get those smoldering leaves going into an uncontrollable fire, and it can spread to a structure or a vehicle and possibly cause injuries. The only thing you can burn in Ferndale is clean wood if you have a burn permit through the City of Ferndale Fire Department, and you can call the fire marshal at 248-546-2510, extension 302. And you can also find the application on ferndalemi.gov, and he'll come out and inspect and approve or deny your permit. Also, the holiday season's approaching. A lot of people don't cook too often at home or use their ovens, but around Thanksgiving, they start firing them up. And we always get a couple of calls where people may have not checked what they're storing in their oven for several weeks or months, or they might have just forgot. And then you get something burning like a plastic cutting board or a pot with a plastic handle. It'll smoke your house up. We just want you to be careful and just double check, make sure your appliances work good. Get your furnace or boiler inspected, change your filters regularly. That also helps with the reduction possibly of spreading COVID in your home, as well as keeping the dust down. And also, people use their fireplaces this time of year. If you use it often, get it checked out. Make sure there's no nesting materials in there or too much creosote buildup. Hire a professional to get up on your roof and check that out. Once again, thanks everybody. I'll miss you. I plan on keeping in touch with everybody, and I really value the friendships and relationships that I've made over my career. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And also timely is our HR Director, Dan Jacey, with just a general update on recruitments.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First, I'd like to say thank you to Fire Chief Pichet for his service to our city and to creating a culture in the fire department that will live on in his absence. It seems fitting with that acknowledgement of Fire Chief Pichet's service that I provide a quick update on the Fire Chief recruitment process and where we are in our efforts to replace him. As you know, we contracted with GovHR the nationwide search. Ads were placed, applications were reviewed, and I'm glad to say that the search yielded 36 viable candidates. James, our account manager from GovHR, is currently in the process of interviewing these candidates via Skype, where he will be rating them based on the attributes that our city council members, city directors, fire staff, and other key stakeholders provided to him as being essential to the next chief's success. Joe and I are going to be meeting with James in 2 weeks to discuss the candidates and the remaining process, and we hope to do final interviews with these fire chief applicants in mid-December. That all being said, I also want to let everyone know that we have several open positions listed on our city website, and I want to encourage anyone interested in a service career with an amazing city to check out these open positions and to check back regularly. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Dan. And I will conclude tonight's update with just a couple brief announcements. General reminder for the good of the order that City Hall is closed in observance of Veterans Day this Wednesday, November 11th. We will also be closed on Thanksgiving and the Friday after Thanksgiving in observance of the holiday. And I just want to refresh everybody's attention to Council's approval, and it really is an annual approval, to waive parking enforcement in honor of Small Business Saturday. So we will be supporting small businesses in that small way for Small Business Saturday after the Thanksgiving holiday. And finally, just a general update on the DOT. I'm sure many have noticed West Troy Street has been open to traffic since Halloween. We are really just awaiting final inspections in coordination with the state. Once that inspection is over, we will have our certificate of occupancy. So my hope is that we are able to open the DOT to parking with the public and our small businesses within the next few weeks, pending that final inspection. And with that, Mayor, it's back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe and staff, for all of your very valuable updates. Next, we are moving on to call to council, starting with Councilman Palka.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few things. First, I always love to add to some of our staff's report outs, and for our fire department, I just want to remind people that don't forget to change your smoke detector batteries. I know for me, usually around time in the fall is when I go around and change all my batteries. I know a lot of other people do the same thing. So, or do it in the spring, but just make sure that you keep those smoke detectors running properly. And on the DPW end, one thing that we have found on my street, now my street has one side parking, so parking is at a minimum. The north side of our street, we aren't allowed to park. So what a lot of people have done on our street, and I recommend it for others, is blow your leaves on the side of the street that you don't have parking. That way you don't have to worry about parking on leaves, and you don't reduce the amount of parking on the only side that you have parking. I know that's not an option for people who have, two-sided street parking, but for the many streets that have one side, that's a really great option. And I want to congratulate everyone who won their seats in the last election, but particularly I want to congratulate my friends, Robert Wittenberg, who is now our new county treasurer, and Dave Coulter, who is going to continue on as our county executive. And the last item is now that we're moving into winter, well, kind of backing up a bit, probably as most people have noticed, the numbers for COVID are going up across the country, across our county, across the state, and we're getting into the colder weather where people are being forced to be closer together indoors. We've been very lucky with the summer. I know a lot of people have been lax with, going outside and maybe not being completely social distancing. But as we move into these tougher times, and it's going to be tougher times over the next several months, just please be more cautious, be extra cautious. Please make sure you wear your masks and that you're not you're washing your hands and you're not doing unsafe actions to keep other people safe. You yourself might not feel concerned about contracting it, but it's very possible that you could carry it to a relative who is dealing with other illnesses, that all of a sudden contracts it and is forced into our hospital systems. I just ask that you please be more careful. I don't want to have to lose any more Ferndalians than we have to this disease. So that's all I have this week, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Next, we will go on to Councilwoman James.
I don't have anything formal to report, but I will take the opportunity to expand a little bit on what Councilmember Polika was discussing. One thing that I have noticed over the last couple of months is even people who are well-intended in wearing masks to help curb the spread of COVID can't resist the temptation to remove it to speak. And it's really important that we all remember that that's actually when you need it the most. Particulate and viruses are going to spread farthest when you're projecting your voice. So, raise your voice a little bit and enunciate to get yourself heard through the mask, but leave the mask on, and try to find one that fits well and is comfortable. There are a lot of different styles out there. There are even little cages that you can put underneath them to help provide a little pocket of air. just look and see what's out there, find something comfortable, and let's really make it a part of our uniforms going into this season. Because the more careful we are and the more we mask up and wash up and stay distant, the more we're going to be able to do together. So let's just be mindful.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And next we will go to Mayor Pro Tem Leaks May.
Thank you, Mayor. So I noticed that when we were honoring Chief Pichet, that we didn't read his resolution. And if that's okay, I'd love to read it right now. At a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Ferndale, Oakland County, Michigan, held virtually on the 9th day of November, 2020, the following resolution was moved and supported unanimously. On November 21st, 2020, Fire Chief Jack Pichet will retire from the City of Ferndale Fire Department after more than 20 years of dedicated public service to the communities of Ferndale, Pleasant Ridge, and Royal Oak Township. On March of 2019, as part of the initial response to the COVID-19 pandemic, Ferndale Fire Chief Pichet assumed a critical regional leadership role as part of Oakland County's Emergency Operations Center, a function of the Oakland County Homeland Security Division that is tasked with coordinating disaster response management for 34 county agencies. Through this appointment, Chief Pichet has committed himself to advocating for not only the health and well-being of Ferndale, but for the entire region. Chief Pichet was appointed as interim fire chief in November of 2018 and confirmed as fire chief in September of 2019. As chief, Jack's top focus has been to develop the next generation of Ferndale firefighters and emergency response professionals through the principles of integrity, discipline, and an emphasis on the common sense pragmatism, just do the right thing. In 2016, Chief was appointed as the community's fire marshal, allowing him to achieve his passion of preventing fires through diligence and education. In his role, Chief Pichet advocated for greater emphasis on the fire department's role in fire prevention that has ultimately led to a more robust fire prevention program. Through the reinvigoration of the Community Emergency Response Team program, Chief Pichet cultivated, nurtured, and developed relationships with the community. Therefore, it be resolved that the Mayor, Melanie Piana, on behalf of Ferndale City Council, extends the city's congratulations to the Fire Chief, Jack Pichet, on the occasion of his retirement. Chief Pichet is a credit to this community, the fire department, the emergency services profession, and the city government, and it is with heartfelt appreciation that we celebrate his achievement. Thanks, Chief. Thank you. That's all I have for tonight.
Sorry, clicked the wrong button. Thank you very much. And next is Councilwoman Mikulski.
Apologize in advance if my voice goes out. I'm apparently having a moment. I wanted to remind residents that some of our meetings are back on Zoom again. Some of our commission meetings. I apologize. Our Arts and Cultural Commission meeting is coming up on November 19th at 6:30. I also wanted to take a moment to thank the commission and to draw attention to some of the work that they did. They actually helped to be a conduit for artists to showcase their work at local restaurants. If you're out and about, if you go to Rosie O'Grady's, you can see some of that artwork. And it's a really great way to display and see the artwork in a safer environment since all of our art fairs were canceled this year. And lastly, we have, I've been speaking to several business owners as well as individuals who are unaware that there are grants available through the county. And so I just wanted to direct some attention to that. Grants are applicable to individuals at oak.com/COVID/grants. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have two announcements tonight. That were in our, as you know, I've been a proponent the advocacy of MML called Save My City, and that's savemicity.org, which is talking about the fiscal challenges that cities are facing to provide their residents the services, and 2 reports that I direct council and our residents to check out. The first is the Lincoln Institute of Land Policy. They just announced Towards Fiscally Healthy Michigan Local Governments. And lo and behold, you won't believe it, it sounds like all the other reports for the last 10 years. Not enough revenue sharing coming from the state, restricted ability for cities to raise taxes to pay for city services that their residents care about. So I always go back to same second verse, same as the first. I think what's different in this report is that they're looking at how cities can look beyond service government, looking at private government platform, which are some new concepts out, I think, for cities to consider. New concepts for me, so I'll be taking a look at those as well. And then the other report is from the Michigan Public Policy Organization, and they're building equitable communities, more funding needed for local governments. I think that title exactly tells the story that cities have been saying for years. But these reports continue the conversation and narrative about cities being strapped. And we've all learned that through crisis, particularly the pandemic, all cities are struggling to financially figure out the impact from the pandemic and making strategic investments and deferring them, like the city of Ferndale has with some park investments that is having a real impact on cities being able to deliver on what their community residents want. So I encourage council to take a look at these as well as city staff for some new ideas. Next, I want something I said immediately after the election is that I represent everybody in Ferndale as a council person, as mayor. And I've always firmly believed that no matter your political leaning, you've voted that I am making great decisions on behalf of the community. And because everybody in Ferndale, there are so many leanings of people in our community, and I am here to represent you, that moving forward as a nation, we are the most polarized politically that we ever have been as a nation. And it's really up to us individually to make sure that we are really choosing a healing approach to this political divisiveness, and that we practice compassion, kindness to one another. And what that means for me, I have seen in our community, is helping people out, making sure that we are not bullying them online, making sure that we are responding in kindness and with curiosity and inquiry about really truly what are you needing. Times, and we make really broad assumptions about what someone is believing or thinking, when really we should just be asking more questions to drill into where we find commonalities and what our differences are, and better understanding how to navigate forward through that. So I will be focused more and kind of community and partner with the community about their leadership in helping address times when kindness is not being administered in a conversation online or in person. It's us as a community to live up to our values and make those choices independently and individually, and live to what being a good neighbor is in Ferndale. Because we need to start at home. We need to start in our local community to help heal nationally. So I encourage everybody to figure out how that will work for them. But I want to draw attention to an organization that I've been following for a while, and they just renamed themselves BraverAngels.org. And it is an organization that is reducing animosity towards it. The opposite of someone who believes different, the opposite of political beliefs, and ending the demonization of an individual who believes differently from you, whether they're Republican, Libertarian, or Democratic. And for me, I always say local government is the front line of democracy, and democracy starts with us. We saw it when everybody came out to vote, and we had the highest voters turnout. So we know we can do it. We've seen it last week, that we can come out and show our voices together. And I think that the power and the energy behind that can take us forward to be the power and energy around compassionate and healing and understanding and bridging our divides and being more curious as human beings to one another. Because we are all human beings and we all want to belong. And as someone who's been elected, one of the core values and what I'm doing as a elected official is making sure that people can belong in our community, because I want to belong. I want to feel like I live here. I want to live here. And so we ostracize people and we take them down on social media and we call them bad names or bully them or put out memes that make fun of them. That is not good neighbor behavior. And so I'm very passionate about this because I don't want to live in a world, I don't want to live in a nation where people are afraid to talk to one another. Or that we put our hands over our ears and say, because you believe differently from me, that I'm not going to listen to you. That is so damaging to our society, to our community. And so I'm calling all of you to do what you can do, to be the braver angel when you encounter these type of experiences, or when you witness it, or when you see it online. So with that, that goes into the pandemic response. It's been covered fully by our council members tonight, but I wanted to let you know we're at 82 cases in Ferndale. This is higher than we were at the peak in June. We're at the stay-at-home. So we're 20 more cases than we were. And if you look at the Oakland County COVID map, it is almost dark blue. But oddly enough, the southern end of all the cities on the southern end have fewer cases than all the other communities. And so I think that is a reflection of the city, of our residents, really trying to do and take the action of keeping themselves safe and others safe. But it's growing. I know that we are all tired of the pandemic. We have fatigue with the pandemic. We want to get back to the way we were. But in order to do that, we all need to work together. We all need to step up and step in helping solve our national and global challenge of people getting sick with this disease. I certainly don't want to get it. And we have more people on staff getting COVID. So it is not from work, but being out in the world, being with family, being with friends. So we really need to take a step back and say we need to do more and we need to do better as we go into the winter months. And because I don't want to have to keep being on Zoom, I'd rather be in person with all of you. And I'd rather, go see my grandma and not worry if I'm going to give her a disease and kill her at 99 years old. So please do your part. Wear your mask. With that, everybody, I love it here. I love Ferndale. I care for all of you. So please be caring tonight. Be caring going forward. With that, I'm calling this meeting 901. Thank you, everybody.
Right.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.